Hello, my name is Craig. Welcome to my new show, first ever show, Unsanctioned. This is episode 1. Never really done anything like this before. Never really been in front of a camera or any kind of screen work or anything, so bear with me. I've wanted to do something like this for a while, just Q&A kind of series on wrestling. I watch a few of them and I'd like to do something like that myself, and this is that. This is going to be, thanks to YouTube, anyone can have their own show, so I'm going to try and do this. So I'd just like to say most of these questions are pretty old, going back to before WrestleMania, when I first had the idea to do the show. So some of them might not be relevant, and then I'll address them kind of as they go. But this is the thoughts of someone with no official knowledge. So I hope you enjoy it. First few questions are from a good friend of mine, Steve. First question is, why have bra and panties matches been retired for Prince Albert in lingerie? That's a good question. I don't really know why that is. I mean, I understand why bra and panties matches aren't really on TV anymore, seeing as they're running in the PG era and it's not really appropriate, but I completely agree. I don't understand why Prince Albert in lingerie is any more acceptable, because I think it's just as harmful to the eye as the bra and panties matches, and it's a lot less attractive and a lot less entertaining, probably more humiliating, I would think, than the bra and panties matches. Second question from Steve is, with Linda McMahon no longer running for senator, why is WWE continuing with the PG era? So this is a question that obviously you hear so much among wrestling fans, especially internet wrestling fans and people who hate WWE. I think that Linda McMahon running for senator it may have had something to do with it initially, but it definitely doesn't have anything to do with why they'll continue to remain PG. I think it's just they do better business as a PG company. They just make more money, appeal to a wider demographic. There's no need for them to be narrow as they were in the Attitude Era anymore, because there's no competition really, because TNA doesn't really provide competition. So I don't think there's any reason really for them to revert from the PG era, because they're probably just going to make more money running as a PG company in the future. There's no real need for them to switch. I mean, I enjoy the product just as much without it being the Attitude Era. I think the only reason why I prefer the Attitude Era is just the nostalgia effect of watching something that you used to love when you were a kid. It's never going to be quite the same as that, but I don't think the fact that it's not gratuitous violence and blood and nudity and profanity, I don't think it's really necessary to have good wrestling. I mean, there's a lot of things they could do better, but I don't think that necessarily the PG thing is the problem really, but that's just my opinion. Another question here that comes in again from Steve, but also just referring to the Attitude Era question, a good friend of mine, Tom, also sent in the question, do you think WWE will ever drop the PG tag and have an Attitude Era version 2? I think it would be possible for them to do some kind of new era, like with Ruthless Aggression, but I don't really see it wouldn't be called Attitude Era version 2, for example. I guess they could do something a bit more close to the edge and stuff, but it all depends on whether they have to, whether there's enough competition to make them have to do something like that, and they don't really need to at the moment. So that's that question answered, I guess. I think I've said all I can on that. Another question from Steve is, what happened to the tag team division? They have tried to reinvigorate it, but it still seems poor. Now again, this question came in like a few months ago, before, obviously long before the Shield won the tag team titles, and I think even with the Shield as tag team champions, it is still poor. Definitely, I completely agree. One of the only things that TNA does a lot better than WWE, almost to the point that they put all of their best stars in the tag team division and actually neglect the actual world title division and have people like Hulk Hogan and Sting involved in that when they have the best workers in the company involved in the tag team division. I don't think that WWE should go that far, but there's definitely so much talent on the roster, especially in the mid card and the lower mid card. I mean, there's people completely lost in the shuffle. They could be worked with and they could be made into real legitimate tag teams and could have a really good division. But yeah, I really don't have a clue why. It doesn't make any sense. I just can't understand it. It's not like it would take up any unnecessary time. Like they have these 3-hour Raws. It's just insane to me that they wouldn't want to make the tag team division a focal point, because it would just be so much better for business in so many ways. You could just make new stars, like star teams, and then you'd get merch sales, just get more people interested in your product and fans of tag team wrestling. And I mean, I know I'm a big fan of tag team wrestling. I'd love to see a division that actually made sense. I think that the Usos are one of the few teams that I actually think have a lot of potential, but are just never going to be pushed properly. And primetime players are okay, and then you've got mixtures. The thing I find really interesting actually is the idea of the 3-man tag team division. So I saw a blog about it that somebody wrote. I don't know if it's something that's actually being talked about, but this guy was just kind of talking about the possibility of doing a tag team division where it was only 3-man teams and it was the same, 3 belts. There wasn't you could have tag team matches with 2-man tag teams, but the tag team title would then be specifically for 3-man teams. And I think that's a brilliant idea, because it's obviously an easy way mathematically to get more people on the card and to just give more people a chance to do something meaningful. You could have genuinely long, emphatic, 25-minute 3-man tag team matches. You could have elimination tag team matches, and it would just make the title picture so much better. As now you have the Shield and I hate to say it, but like 3MB for example, if they could create 2 or 3 more of those, maybe even out of the teams that are around at the moment, just kind of mix some of them together or bring in some new talent, and you could have the Wyatt family just about to join Raw as well. There's another one, 3-man team, that would be perfect. Can you imagine Wyatt family, Shield, a couple of other teams? Could be really. I think that's a really cool idea. But yeah, as far as the actual tag team division in its current form, I have no idea why they refuse to even try and make it anything meaningful. Now the Shield are there, I mean, I guess that things are moving forward. But there's no competition out there. I mean, when this thing finally ends with Hell No, I don't know what's going to happen. I get the feeling it's going to be another one of those reigns where they never defend the title at pay-per-views. They'll just defend it every 3 months. Like, no one will care about it. They won't even bring the belts out when they have singles matches and stuff like that. It just won't matter. I can definitely see that happening, so I guess we'll have to see. The final question I got from Steve many months ago was, has The Rock only come back to wrestling because his acting career is flatter than Keira Knightley's chest? Now, I don't really agree with that, to be honest. I think that The Rock's acting career is pretty much as good as it could have ever been, as much as he could have ever dreamed of it being, frankly. And more than any other wrestler has experienced and probably ever will experience. It's just the level of fame that he's reached and the kind of roles that he's in now. I mean, the money he's making, I can't even imagine. I actually think he just came back to WWE genuinely to have another run, and I do believe that wrestling's in his blood and he enjoys wrestling and all that stuff. I do think that's pretty much what it is. I know it's a bit idealistic, but I don't really think... I'm sure he enjoyed getting paid, but at the end of the day, he was pretty much probably kind of messing up chances to actually do other roles and stuff that would have probably made him more money. So I don't think it's as shallow as you would think. I don't think that he was like, his acting career was on the ropes or anything like that. But again, these are all just my opinions. This question now is from Mike, and he's another good friend and a big supporter of my blog. And he had quite a few questions mumbled into a paragraph kind of thing. A lot of them are pre-WrestleMania, so some of them probably won't apply. But the question was, how do you see the main event of WrestleMania 29 panning out? So I'll take them one by one. This was the first one. The main event, so that was John Cena and The Rock. Just to summarise it quickly, I saw it panning out exactly as it did. John Cena winning the title and getting his win back. I didn't think for a second that anything else was going to happen other than that outcome. So yeah, that's pretty much that, cut and dry. Do you feel it would be better as a singles match with Rock and Cena, or as a triple threat involving Punk if Undertaker cannot take part? So obviously this is actually pre-Undertaker return. So I guess this is like before April. I think that at the time that would have been brilliant. I think that Punk and Undertaker was the best match on the card, so I'm glad it happened. But I mean, I would have loved to have seen Rock and Cena and Punk in a triple threat. I think that would have been amazing. Probably better than Punk and Undertaker. Actually, I think maybe that would have been better if the Undertaker had someone else go for the streak. But that wasn't to be. Also, what do you think will be the finish? So I take it this is the Rock and Cena match. I predicted the finish to be as it was. I actually thought the match would be better though. I thought the match would be more of a building on what they initially did at last year's WrestleMania, and I just felt that it was probably as good, if not slightly worse actually. So I don't really think that they improved the show at all. Not anywhere near to the kind of standards that they could have anyway. The final question from Mike was, I can probably see Cena winning the belt and Rock's last run in WWE coming to an end. So that's not really a question, but more of a statement. I agree. I saw Cena winning the belt and wasn't surprised at all to see it happen. I was surprised that The Rock got injured and was out for a while. Actually, I didn't actually see that coming. And again here, this is kind of a good prediction to be fair, because I didn't see that coming, and it actually ended up being possibly his last run. But I do think he'll come back. I think he'll come back probably before the end of the year, in fact. But moving on to the second and final question I got from Tom. This is a quick and simple one. What happened to John Morrison? It's a bit. You'll find on this show that I'm not as. This is purely opinion based, and I'm not really going to be researching and spending too much time trying to find out facts per se. I'm just going to give you my opinion and just be honest. I don't really know exactly what happened to John Morrison. I mean, I think he was injured for quite a while. I can only imagine he's fit again now, but maybe he's working the Indies or something. But I just didn't really. It's not one of those guys like when RVD left or when Jeff Hardy left or something where I might care to see what they do. I really didn't care what John Morrison did, to be honest. It didn't interest me at all. I mean, I think he's a great athlete. He has done some amazing spots in the ring, but he also has botched a lot. I mean, he does botch almost to Sin Cara level and doesn't really get called on it, to be fair, at least by the people I know. Just never really been that lit up by him. I think that if he can't, I think he should totally be able to come back and have another run and get more chances, because he's got so much to offer and a lot of potential, but I don't really see him as the main event superstar that everyone else does. He's got a great look, does some really impressive moves, but I don't really think that he's all that necessarily. So I don't in fact know what happened to John Morrison, but I would say I would expect him to be back in WWE within the next couple of years. In fact, I think I heard somewhere that he was doing some kind of acting or something to work on his mic skills, which do drastically need work. So yeah, I do imagine he'll be back soon, so I wouldn't worry too much. This last question's from Joe, who is a very intelligent wrestling fan. And the question is, who is the most underrated or misused wrestler? Name one from the past and one from the present. So, this is a really good one. Because again, I haven't really looked at these in advance and thought about it, so I'm just going to have to do it on the spot. I think that the one from the past is a common answer that you'll hear from most people, and that's Shelton Benjamin. I think that he was probably, maybe even the best athlete that I ever saw really in WWE, I think. From what I started watching when I was like 8 until now. I think that he was just absolutely incredible. Like the whole package, he had everything, like high flying, great technical wrestling, suplexes, submissions. He wasn't incredible on the mic, but he also wasn't bad. I think that, put it this way, there are a lot worse people that have been given the world title. For example, the Great Khali. I mean, it's just, to think that the Great Khali held the world title is, it's just disrespectful to think that to think that happened and Shelton Benjamin didn't win the big one, because he was just so much better in every department. I mean, the Great Khali he's just completely absent on the mic and in the ring, just complete. He actually makes things worse. It's not that he doesn't provide anything. He makes matches worse just by being in them. And he makes promos worse by being around them. He's just, everything about him is just shocking. I know I'm going off topic a bit, but that's just one comparison. One of the many reasons why it's just, I can't believe that Shelton Benjamin didn't win the title. I think the most misused wrestler of my generation, at least, yeah, definitely. And for the present, let me think. It's really tough. I think that at the moment, again, it's a common answer, and I'll probably sound pretty generic, like a generic internet fan, but I think Antonio Cesaro is just right now being misused terribly. Again, I'm only talking about WWE here, really, because the only stuff I really know about Ring of Honor is what I hear from my friend who helps write for me on the blog, writes the Ring of Honor stuff, and just from when Ring of Honor guys come to NXT. But I think that there's a couple of those, to be fair. For example, Al Generico, that already I don't like the direction they're going in. And Chris Hero, I don't like the direction that they're going in with him really on NXT. But, well, I enjoyed the matches that I've seen, but I just don't like the fact that they have to change all the names and trademark it and completely change the characters. And sometimes it's really good. Like, for example, Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt is just incredible. And Skip Sheffield to Ryback. And we're probably going to be saying Michael McGillicuddy to Curtis Axel in a few weeks as well. Just brilliant transformations. It doesn't look like that's happening with El Generico. But to get back to the WWE guy who right now I think is being used poorly is Antonio Cesaro. Because I actually think that when he came from Ring of Honor, they used him so well, built him up so brilliantly, and he really brought well, he didn't bring too much credibility because they still half the time wouldn't put the title matches on the card and then have them on pre-shows or not at all for pay-per-views, which is just crazy. But Cesaro at least has given some credibility with a long reign. He was just great in the ring, like amazing look. Just has everything to be a complete star. I do not understand what he did, who he pissed off, but he's just there. I mean, what is he doing? Like yodeling to. It's almost like he's trying to kill his own push, and he must be being told to do that. I don't understand it at all. And then his appearances on TV are just becoming less and less, and the time he is on TV, it's more and more insignificant. And yeah, I really just don't understand why they're going with him. I think he's the most misused and the most underrated wrestler at the moment. I mean, if people can't see the just sheer talent that he has, it's frightening. But yeah, that'll be all for the first episode of Unsanctioned. I hope that you enjoyed what you heard. I've never ever done anything like this before. I'm just a really big wrestling fan. I do a lot of writing on my blog, which is therealmidcard.wordpress.com, and my friend Steve, who helps me with the Ring of Honor stuff on there. We both have done over 90 posts on there now in the last 6 months. I've been watching wrestling for probably about 15 years now, and I'm just a big fan, keen fan. I'd like to get more involved in possibly writing in magazines or doing something like that. Obviously the dream would be to work for creative, for WWE, something like that, but yeah, for now I'm just trying to just do this video thing, kind of see where it goes, and yeah, I just hope you enjoy it. Also, please leave comments on the YouTube responding to what I've said, and let me know if you think it's bullshit or the way I'm talking is bullshit, whatever. Just give me some feedback. Negative feedback is always welcome as well, and also positive feedback is welcome if any of that were to be possible. Also, questions, just go ahead and post anything about wrestling that you can think of that you just, however, if you're wondering something that you genuinely don't know and you think that I might know it, probably won't, to be fair. I don't know too much and I do have a bad memory, but if I know something about it, I'll give my opinion on it, and if it's something that I'm going to know and you just want to kind of let me know what you think about it and ask me what I think, it'd be great to answer the questions. It's always cool to just hang out with someone, talk about wrestling, and sometimes you can't always do that because there aren't any people around or whatever. So yeah, feel free to just ask me questions about wrestling and I'll talk to you about it. And that's going to be this Unsanctioned deal. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Bye.